Shout out to the CIA. What's going on, people? Excuse me. I'm still getting over this flu, RSV, respiratory something virus. It has been going around the nation, and it kicked my butt. I am still, I'm about 75% maybe. We'll try to get it done, try to get it going. All right, 30 people watching. Let's hit the like button on the way in. During the week, if I decide to do a live stream, I'm going to try to keep it in, it's going to be under an hour. Sunday night's live stream, if you didn't see it, it's still posted. It's going to be up for a minute. I talked about how the most important question for a guy to ask himself is, are you happy? Happiness, 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 happiness. Happiness is going to be a major theme for 2020. And it's also, we're not focusing on either or, it's and. It's like, I got to get on my purpose and make my money or be happy. Nope, both, same time. See, a lot of guys really aren't pushing themselves. And as a coach, as an image consultant, an influencer, and a coach, my job is to actually push you, make you uncomfortable. Hold the mirror up and say, this is who you are, this is where you are, this is where you say you want to get to, this is what it's going to take. Now let's see if you're going to do the work. To that end, I actually had some feedback from people talking about happiness, and I said, happiness is, a person's happiness is almost 50% tied to social connectedness, meaning human beings are social creatures. We are not happy by ourselves. We are not meant to be alone. We are meant to be in couples and in groups. This is not up for debate. This has nothing to do with capitalism, any form of in human history. We have evolved to be together, but only in the late 20th and 21st century have we thought we could do this whole thing where we don't need to be around anybody. And that's bullcrap. Social connectedness, people who are happy, who are socially connected are happier in life.
Get some cool cufflinks.
People who are happy, who are socially connected are happier in life, live longer, make more money, more productive, have better sex lives. So go back and watch that video. But one of the questions that kept coming up was, well, social connectedness, and you're talking about people, and but I'm an introvert. I'm an introvert. I'm an introvert. I'm a lone wolf because I came at lone wolves, and I'm going to come at them some more because it is time out for so much of this lone wolf myth. Understand something, introvert or an extrovert, both can have happy social lives. A lot of times you guys put on this I'm an introvert title just because you're socially awkward and you lack the skills to make friends. And you put the term introvert on it because it sounds cool. I'm taking those words away. No, you're not an introvert, you're awkward. See, it's no different than putting BBW on obesity. It sounds cool, but we got to take away. But if you really want to get to a solution, you're going to have to deal with it. Introvert, extrovert, both have always existed, and both can be happy. Again, this year I'm not doing any freshman sophomore information. It's back on the channel. This year we're going into junior and senior information. So hit the like button. Let's get into the program. Is it better to be a lone wolf? Is it better to be a lone wolf? And that's the question I wanted to ask. I wanted to see what you guys think. Is it better to be a lone wolf today? And I think a lot of guys actually think that being a lone wolf makes you strong. Is it better to be a lone wolf? Is it better to just treat the world like a Vulcan, treat everything like a transaction? It's all ones and zeros. Does that keep you safe? Let's get started. And anybody who says it's better to be a lone wolf, understand something. You are wrong. You're wrong. And here's what's going to happen. People are going to pull out all kind of things. Well, look at this one lone example. Look at this one lone example. The exception doesn't disprove the rule. You're simply wrong. Just like money making is a social activity, there's a reason you don't see many rich and wealthy single bachelors. Bottom line is the rich and the wealthy are married. Even in today's modern court systems and everything else, you don't have to like the facts. You just have to accept them. Another thing on this year, we're going to be talking a lot about personal development. See, personal development means you as an individual, you need to develop and grow. I talked yesterday about ways of attaining happiness, social ways of attaining happiness, and individual ways of attaining happiness. Most guys, especially on these YouTube spaces, lean towards things that make them happy individually. That does not force them to be around other people. But let's get it right into it. Is it better to be a lone wolf? Not if you want to be successful. Not if you want to be successful. And how am I? Well, wait a minute, Kevin. How can you prove that? Well, you've heard of a company called Salesforce.com. Salesforce.com, the largest repository of sales databases in the world, the largest CRM, the one that most companies use. They wrote a book. They were out collecting data over decades. So was Gallup. The long and short of it is they have the largest repository of sales, corporate sales, and corporate information on success, sales, marketing, productivity. And there was a book called The Challenger Sale. What they found out is that, quite by accident, that in economic tough times, or in a bull market and a bear market, there was one type of personality that succeeded over them all. Give you an example. And there was an economic up markets or down markets, one type of personality was only successful 7% of the time. The next one was 12% of the time. The next one was 17% of the time. The next one was 25% of the time. But the biggest one was 39%. So if you're not going to be, if you're going to open your mind to what I'm about to say, if you want to debate, this is not a place for debate. I don't really care, honestly, if you disagree with what I'm saying. This is not a debate. Don't be a lone wolf. They aren't successful and they're rarely helpful. The go it alone psychology does very little to foster team building or strong decision making. You cannot build a multi-million-dollar business by yourself. And what I hear a lot today, especially with a lot of today's entrepreneurs, is you're making the biggest mistake. You're really a solopreneur. You have no relationships in the world. Everything is a transaction. Gary Vee, and shake a stick at how many business coaches will talk about the risks of being a lone wolf. But going it alone doesn't foster team building. Why? I'm gonna tell you why. Because nobody trusts lone wolves. People don't like lone wolves. Lots of people can lead from the lonely top, but to be truly effective, leadership requires the ability to connect, collaborate, and engage in teamwork. That's how we built the world. You think an individual could build a skyscraper? An individual at best can build a shack, a house. One man, what kind of home can one man build versus thousands? Leaders can easily fall into the lone wolf mentality, where they work in silos and focus on self-interest instead of broader goals. But the greatest achievements in personal life, business, politics, and all areas come from collective, not individual effort. Moderators, if anybody comes in here talking again, you don't have to like what I'm saying, but don't come in my chat room talking crazy, trying to dispute everything I'm saying. I'm going to time you out. This is chemistry class. If you don't like chemistry, carry your butt over to calculus, but don't come over here in chemistry talking calculus. Suggestions for any kind of personality. If you got a question you want to ask me, guys, I'm teaching. If you have a question you want to ask or comment you want read, put it in super chat. I'm also going to put the link up there kindly. If you want 100% of your donation to come directly to the channel, hit that link right there or use the PayPal link down there. Again, I know it's going to rub a lot of guys wrong because a lot of you guys have this invested in this myth that being a lone wolf is this majestic, the best way to do it. And I'm coming directly at you with facts, data, statistics, tearing down what you believe. And the fact is, if you really want to be successful, you need to understand that what you believe is wrong. And then act accordingly. You don't get anywhere by yourself. Money making is a social activity. Success is a group activity. Here are 3 simple steps to keep you from becoming an ineffective lone wolf. You've got to use talent wisely, optimize decision-making, and earn trust and engagement. And that's the thing. First of all, you can't use talent wisely if you don't have talent if you're working by yourself. See, that's what happens a lot of times on YouTube. Why do so many people? This is why I don't beef. I don't beef, and certainly not in public, because it always gives me the ability to work and collaborate with somebody in the future. That's using talent wisely. Shout out to O'Shea. O'Shea is one of the best people that a lot of you guys know in using talent wisely. That's a skill. That is an executive level management skill. And he's gone from a point to where he's actually beefed with people, but he's evolved. That's a skill that you can learn from. Use talent wisely. Optimize decision making, which means you cannot sit around and not challenge your own ideas. But you have to earn the trust and engagement of your team. If you're working by yourself, if you're always a lone wolf, lone wolves by their very nature are fear-based decision making. That's going to bother a lot of you guys. Yeah, and the fear is somebody's going to try to screw over me, so I got to be on the lookout for somebody screwing over me all the time. Lone wolves limit themselves by fear-based decision making. If you really want to even as me as a business person, even as me as a business person, I'm really not going to be a true business person until I have a payroll. Until I have a staff and a payroll, I'm really not in business. I'm a solopreneur. Couple of things. Don't lead from fear. Leadership is a reward, but let's go back. How many times do you hear people call themselves lone wolves and then call themselves alphas? Understand something. By definition, lone wolf is not an alpha. Lone wolf is not an alpha. Alphas lead the pack. Alphas lead the pack. Lone wolves, by definition, are not alpha. Thank you, Will. You tried the lone wolf thing, you failed miserably. So did I. I tried the lone wolf thing because I was an only child, and I didn't have good team building and networking skills. When I was a lone wolf, I succeeded to the highest of the lower levels. But when I stepped into management for the first time, I failed horribly because I parroted a lot of things that I hear a lot of you guys talking about. I didn't understand how to build trust, work with people. I thought I was the manager, you're the worker. That does not work. Alphas, lone wolf aren't the same thing. So if you think you're an alpha male, and you're a lone wolf, those two things are in direct contradiction. Lone wolves at best are sigmas, and sigmas don't lead. Sigmas have to go work in a corner somewhere because they cannot work with anybody. Give you some personality types. The hard worker, always goes the extra mile, doesn't give up easily, self-motivated, interested in the feedback and development. Guess what? In up times, let me tell you the person who fails the most. The relationship builder. Strong advocate for customer, generous with giving their time, helping everybody. That person fails the most. Yeah, that person fails the most. You know who fails the second most? The problem solver. Reliably responds, ensures that all problems can be solved, and detail-oriented. These are people who respond at the lowest parts of the curve. Number 3, the hard worker. Always goes the extra mile, doesn't give up easily, self-motivated, interested in feedback and development. That person actually wins about 17% of the time. 7, 12, 17. Then you get to the lone wolf. The lone wolf is the one that everyone seems to want to be because it sounds cool. It's what it does. It sounds cool. They follow their own instinct. They follow their own instincts. They're self-assured, independent. And they win about 22% of the time. The problem is you can't work with them. They're like Allen Iverson. Think about any time you've had a lone wolf in sports. It doesn't matter how individually talented you are, you have to be able to be like Brady. But the challenger, the person who is building a worldview, always has a different worldview, understands the customer's business, loves to debate, and pushes. Understand something. The person who takes the person that stands at the top takes all the previous 4 and melds them into one. That's why understanding the value of people, networking, not just, anyway, I've said that before. All right, leadership is its own reward. It's for the courageous and brave, not for the fearless. Understand something. Problems arise when you let fear push you into a lonely corner, feeling you must fight alone. There's such a, those old mantras like, don't show any signs of weakness or never let them see you sweat. All that's fear-based. So I really want you to think about what I'm saying. A lot of that stuff has been made to sound cool. But you need to focus on people who can't work with other folks and can't collaborate with other people in your life. And if that's you, you got work to do. When you're only out for yourself, no one wins. Go back to the movie Russell Crowe, A Beautiful Mind. And they talked about a theorem, a problem he's working on. And it was, what was it, Adams, and it said, the best possible outcome in a society when everyone's doing what's best for themselves. And that was theory for hundreds of years. But it took a man who was mentally to come up and say, that's incomplete. The best outcome for the group is when everyone does what's best for themselves and the group. That's when he showed the time when he went into the bar and he said, if we all go for the blonde, we all lose. If 5 guys go for the blonde, we all lose. But if we all go for her friends, one of us will get the blonde and we all get laid. Go back and watch that. Guys, hit the like button. Lone wolf leaders are the one who talk little to their peers, collaborate less, work in silos, and only think of their unit, not the company. You cannot have somebody like that in ultimate charge of anything because they're only focused on their goals. They can't, even though they may understand the big picture, they may understand the big picture. They may even talk and say the right things. But when it comes right down to it, they're only out for themselves. All right. So that's why lone wolves aren't the better leaders. And they're certainly not alpha. And that's in personal life and professional life. See, and I know a lot of guys are going to have problems with this because you hear a lot of conflated terms over YouTube. This is alpha. This is alpha. Oh, this is this. This is that. Look, man, this is not an opinion. You don't get anywhere in this world by yourself. And sitting there patting yourself on the back because of your inability to work well with others is, in my opinion, foolish. Looks like Brother Will Gatlin came in and said, when he tried that lone wolf stuff, he failed miserably. I'm gonna tell you right now, so did I. I failed miserably. Let's get on into it. The myth of the lone wolf. Throughout history, there's always been this mythological lone wolf that's captured the imaginations of the people who are, who it captures the people's imaginations because they're solitary, resourceful, self-sufficient, like a hero who stands tall against the day and daunting odds. Of course, it's a myth. It's the cowboy who rides into town with the bad guys over here, and he comes in and he cleans up the town. But you notice that cowboy can never stay in town because the things that make him good for cleaning up the town make him horrible for living in the town. Nomads, loners have always been outside of society. That's the appeal of all these superheroes. They come in and fix it, but then they can't go work. The lone wolf has been especially prevalent in the world of business, sales, entrepreneurship. The person who's the ace, who prowls around on their own and always can be counted home to bring home the big deal. That was what I was when I was in corporate America. I was the top lone wolf. I was the big game hunter. But what made me great in individual sales made me horrible. It's like baseball. What made me great at batting, but I was horrible in the field. I had to learn. How many of you guys know you need to learn how to work with people? Because working with people socially connects you to the world and improves your happiness. If you really honestly say you know you need to work with people, become better at it, put your hand up. The lone wolf is a dangerous myth. In the animal world, no wolf can survive long in the wild, separated from the pack, and neither can a human lone wolf. A business person, a leader, or an owner who attempts to operate without help or backup will fail. You've met them, you've been them, and they're the ones who hoard all the information, exclude other people from conversations, don't ask for or offer advice, and don't try to work collaboratively. Who wants to be around somebody like that? Remember this, if you operate as a lone wolf, you are vulnerable. More often than not, you will only achieve mediocre results. Guys, occasionally with a huge amount of effort and great luck, you may achieve a spike in success. However, these victories you get will only be short-lived. Being a lone wolf will keep you from being a part of a robust, collaborative network that can help you in down times. You can't benefit from the influence of others' energy, creativity, and you certainly cannot form strategic partnerships. Like it or not, that sums up what the destiny of a lone wolf. See, especially when you're young, it sounds really cool. But you're going to get older. And that's another video I'm going to do. Acting and dressing age appropriate. Understand something. The average man lives to be 66 years old. If you're 35, if you're 33, 35, you're middle age in this country. But a lot of guys in their early 30s are still acting and talking like they're in their teens. The stuff I'm talking about happens every day out there in corporate America. People who work well with each other move up, make money, become successful, live happier lives. So, what does it take to succeed? Well, in order to achieve any goal of enduring value, like growing a business, building a structure, raising a child, you have to have the cooperation of others. You need to belong to a tribe. Who's your tribe? Most lone wolves don't have tribes. Tribes take many forms: family, religious organizations, business organizations, groups that share core values. You may belong to several tribes. If you don't belong to any tribes that fall into a business category, you simply can't achieve your business goals. I've been talking about this for years. You got to understand this is not, you don't have to like it. It's just the way it is. All right, man, hit the like button. All right, man. Guys, we got almost 300 people watching, only 122 likes. I'm not gonna hit it until we get over 200 likes. We're gonna shut this thing down. And I also need 5 people to drop something in donation because I'm teaching today. This is a college level prep course. I'm teaching today. So if y'all rather go talk about, Big Booty Brenda and everything else, I feel you. I can go ahead and shut this down and make the best of it for patrons. Hit the donate button. Here's a link. Come on. See, unfortunately, with fewer and fewer guys going to college today, you're not learning the benefit that comes along with actually going to school, joining organizations, personal and professional organizations. You're just not learning a lot of this stuff. And you're out here trying to compete in the world as a loner. And that's a horrible way to try to compete. You will lose. You cannot beat a team, folks. You cannot beat a team. I remember O'Shea used to tell a story about when he went to a bar and he would see these guys in Turkey. And he'd see these guys who were, One possibility I see. On their own.
Bless thanks for all wisdom, bro.
Understand, appreciate it. Understand something, guys. Best outcome for yourself and the group. And all right, so let's keep it moving. So we dropped 10% when I started asking people to actually hit the like button. Cool. Keep the likes coming on, folks. What tribe do you belong to? What did I say the other day? No one, when they were a boy, wanted to be by themselves at 40 years old. And I've been hearing more and more guys finally admitting the fact that, yes, I do want family, children, strong relationships, community ties. That's true. Just because the world has changed since the 60s does not mean you have to be miserable. You just have to do it differently.
Appreciate the game.
Thanks, Erica. All right. So you got to be a part of a tribe. I've talked about joining organizations and things. You need to find that's why I said you need to go back to Sunday Show and watch Sunday Show. Sunday Show was a highlight or a view of all this stuff. And the amount of interactions you need. Journey towards thriving. I've always belonged to personal tribes. When I worked as a sales rep, I used to think it was my job to work on my own. I wasn't hired because I was self-motivated. I don't want to read that part. The businesses that I work for, I'm reading actually an excerpt, at the time encouraged that mindset. A lot of times companies will encourage you as a salesperson something that this is your own business and encourage you to work your butt off in a silo. There was no tribal interaction. And as a result, there was a feeling of isolation from our team. You felt alone, confused, and insecure. Whenever I asked for help, which wasn't often because it was interpreted as a sign of weakness, things went amazingly well. But because I thought of myself as a lone wolf, I didn't learn the obvious lessons to intentionally collaborate. See, that's one of the biggest things I learned as a salesperson. When I started to collaborate, I tripled my income. That's one of the things that every company I work for, I have a track record of collaboration. I will come in as the salesperson new to the organization. I'd say, give me the worst customers, get the worst territory, baptism by fire.
20 plus.
Appreciate it, man. Baptism by fire. So I could learn the most about the customers, the territory, the organization by taking the bad stuff. Then I would look at the best practices across the company. Who are the salespeople that are winning? Who are the people that are winning? So I take the bad, I take the good. Then I would actually go to the top people in my office and I offer to pick their brain, lunch and learn. I'd want to do ride-alongs. I'd go to customer service, accounting, order entry, engineering. I didn't just do my job. I learned the business. I started it out in McDonald's, guys. The skills that I'm talking about right now, I started out at McDonald's in the 80s. I didn't just work the drive-through. I learned how to work the grill, fries, front register. I learned how to make salads. I learned how to make breakfast. I learned how to do dishes. I learned how to stock, rotate step. I learned how to unload the truck, rotate stock, count the tills, all this other kind of stuff. I learned the business from restaurants, waiting tables. Those are skills that I took and made me hundreds of thousands of dollars in corporate America. Millions of dollars, honestly. Sadly enough, you have to collaborate at all levels. But then fast forward to a lot of you guys' lives today is a small business owner. You continue to operate as lone wolves. Bottom line is, guys, lone wolf is another metaphor for struggling. How to unstick yourself from lone wolfishness. And it doesn't really take a long time. You have to find partners and colleagues that help you. Coaching is the thing that really did it for me. Because I had some of these skills when I worked at McDonald's and restaurants and things like that. But what really did it for me was when I sat down and paid for that coaching. That year I had made $35,000 and I took $5,000 and I paid for coaching and training. That was me actually taking my money out and saying, all right, I need to learn how to do better. I learned the value of not only just getting some new sales tactics, but the power of collaboration. I went from $35,000 to $100,000 in 4 years, 3 years, from Dallas to New York City. I learned how to, I hired a coach. Then I started to learn how to collaborate with colleagues in the office. And I started to partner with people in the office. And what happened when I started doing that, they would start I would start actually being able to work with their tribes, their people, their interactions, their connections. See, when I start collaborating with people, I got access to their networks too, and vice versa. My coach, who's your coach? Who's your coach? See, that's why I always say the top people at the top 10, the top 5, they have coaches. You're expected to do this kind of stuff. And this is why it's so foreign. A lot of you guys, you think you can do it by yourself, and you can't. You'll build a shack. You may build a nice house. You'll build a 1-story home by yourself, but without heavy machinery, equipment, and collaborating with others, you'll never build anything better. I now have a partner, colleagues, colleagues for all team coaching work we do to BNI. I belong to BNI. BNI is a business networking group. Trust me, guys, there's so many things. And if you actually are interested in learning how to do this kind of stuff one-on-one, there's the personal advice line. If you want some one-on-one advice, learning how to build your own personal networks, go to my website. There's a link for a one-on-one business advice. In an hour, we can go over several things to help you actually get your career moving on the right path. Because guys, what it took me to learn how to do this, there's no one talking about this stuff, no one teaching. Because honestly, and this is no diss, if you didn't come from, you haven't been out in corporate America working like a lot of folks, you can't talk about it if you've never done it. This is in theory. Understand something. Start evaluating success. You need to stop evaluating success based on I and move it to we. It's like when I do MIT. MIT is a way of helping guys to a we. To continue to apply continue to apply one question to each challenge or new situation. Who else would it be cool to include in this conversation? Or how can we benefit from this association? Get started by working in triads. Involve at least 3 people to help you generate ideas, sort out problems, and make a decision. Either bring someone else in, like a sales manager, onto your sales call. Make sure at least 2 other people are at the call or at the time of the presentation. Triads. Don't jump into major collaborations, but at least 2 other people. I mean, at least 3 other people. At least 3 other people. You'll notice that ideas will start to come faster. Your triad expands quickly, and each person you start to think of and include others. You'll feel less pressure because you don't have to carry the entire responsibility. Understand something. Understand something. If you don't come from a strong family, if you're an only child, that kind of thing, or if you were like 10 years between you and your siblings, these are skills you can learn. I learned them. You can learn them too, and understand this kind of stuff helps you make more money, be more productive, and ultimately be happier in life. A lot of times I talk about getting out and networking. A lot of you guys don't even know where that comes from, how to do that. It's foreign because you've been living too much as a lone wolf. Recognize your ideal tribe mates. Outside of outside of work, you may already be part of some naturally occurring tribes, people with whom you serve, you share like values and interests. But at work, intentionally building your tribes, one person at a time, using the same kind of criteria, shared values and interests. Step 1 is being clear on your own values and interests so you can decide who you want to include in your tribe. And more importantly, who you want to avoid. This is another very important part about knowing who you are. This is why I believe in coaching, testing, and these kind of things. Myers-Briggs is great. I'm an ENTJ, but I believe even more in Clifton Strength Finder. I'm SIIAM, strategic individualization, ideation, activator, maximizer. The maximizer part of me is the part that is pushing to excellence. That means I do best working with people who want to be excellent. I don't do well working with people who just want to get by because I'm always striving to be excellent. So my next foray into management in corporate America, I didn't work with beginning salespeople. I worked with senior account executives and national account managers, people who had already decided they really wanted to be in sales, people not learning how to do sales. I know that about myself. I'm a maximizer. I push. But maximizers maximize. Give a maximizer $1 and they'll bring back 1,000. They'll find a way. But one of the biggest things you need to do, guys, if you really want to be successful and get away from this lone wolfishness, is to share your intention to stop being a lone wolf. If you are a solopreneur, tell people you want to start collaborating more. Tell them you want to start building a tribe and ask them if they know like-minded people that you can meet. If you're part of a sales team comprised of lone wolves, start talking about if it will be possible. Start talking about that it would be possible if we started working more like a tribe and build on each other's strengths. Let people around you, your customers, your clients know that you want to start collaborating with them more. And if you do propose, let's say, for instance, like if you do proposals, you could write a first draft and then have somebody in your office look over it and see if they can improve it. If you're part of a team that has each other's backs, if you're part of a situation or organization that has each other's back, you spend more time developing strategy, building skills, and understanding and improving core values. That promotes a tribal behavior and you're on the right track. Bottom line is this, guys. We can sit around and talk about lone wolf, lone wolf, lone wolf, lone wolf, lone wolf. in all the years I've lived, I've rarely met anybody who truly likes being by themselves. I hear people talking about it in majestic ways, but when it gets right down to it, lone wolves don't like being lone wolves. They don't like thinking, always having to look over their back. And I've, like I said, I'm not going to say any names, but I've heard more and more guys finally start to, admit, man, I don't like this lone being by myself stuff. Well, if that's the case, what are you going to do about it? All right, I got time for a couple of questions and I'm gonna get out of here. If you're interested in booking your one-on-one advice line, there you go. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. I'm still getting over my cold. I'm still getting back into, into the swing of things. So I'm about 2 weeks behind because I've been out. I put up the one-on-one career advice. There's that link. If you're interested in booking your one-on-one virtual consultation, that's pretty much the best of all worlds. This is where I take a real in-depth look at who you are on the inside, who you want to look like on the outside, tell you what I see, and then point you in your right direction for your ultimate style personality, and then decide what comes next. One of the best things I ever did was doing that for myself years and years ago. But guys, understand something. This year, I'm going to always ask you, are you happy? And how are you defining happiness? If it's always about keeping your head down, making more, if it's always about individual stuff, if it's not about working with people, building a tribe and network, you're not doing enough. I said it yesterday. If you didn't watch yesterday, I said it. I don't want to see a lot of guys who end up offing themselves because they're making a lot of money and realize that this means nothing. Life is about people, gentlemen. People, not your money, people. And when you hear guys just talking, thinking that money is going to make you happy, no. Understand something. I expect you to be making at least 6 figures. I expect you to be making triple your age. So at 30 years old, I expect you to be making $90,000. So none of that broke talk over here. But still, what comes next? Okay. Somebody asked me an appropriate fragrance at work. You're all off the topic, man. Can you guys please do me a favor and ask questions on the topic? If you're a fragrance at work, though, if I were a surgeon, I would wear something like Prada L'Homme, something clean, fresh. Prada L'Homme, the original Aqua de Jo, something like that. Something very clean, innocent, molecular one. I actually have a video coming out about top office fragrances. All right. So, any questions? Again, thank you guys for being patient. I have been ill, so ill. I wanted to do the follow-up because Sunday was such a big stream. I wanted to talk about the myth of the lone wolf. And part of that is also the introvert versus the extrovert. Understand something. You can be an introvert and still have a social life. Introverts just look at socializing differently. You don't have to be the center of attention or working the room. But you also need to ask yourself a question. How did you become an introvert? Because introversion is not the norm amongst humans. Ask yourself how you became an introvert. And then you need to probably address the core issues there. But if you're naturally introverted, understand something. That does not mean you don't still, that the rules, everything I talked about, tribes and all that other stuff, they still apply. From my experience, what are any challenges in developing your triad? Yeah, the biggest challenge was me getting out of my own way, thinking I knew everything. Gratitude, humility, and empathy. See, when you want to work with other people, see, you can have a very high IQ, but if you have low EQ, you will not be successful. You need emotional intelligence to succeed. Just like we talk about, you hear a lot of things being talked about dating and relationships. Being the smooth, seductive, charismatic operator can overcome a lot of things, but that's just high EQ. Having game just means high EQ. And game helps you in your personal life, and it certainly helps you in your professional life. When you marry high IQ with high EQ, you are a threat. You are a serious competitor. Look, dude, don't come up. It seems like introvert versus extrovert is more applied to men. Yes. Daughters with good bedside manners are less likely to be sued by patients. Yes. See, most people don't realize most guys who lack EQ don't understand how much it's affecting their lives until it's too late. You look up and you're 40 years old, still trying to hold on to your youth because that was the last time you ever had any real connections with anybody. This thing goes really deep. I'm not going to get that deep into it, but a lot of guys don't want to grow up because there is nothing next. Yes, Jenny. My career sessions are open for all genders. My career sessions are open for all genders. Um, so my personal advice is open for all genders, and virtual consultations open for all genders. Kevin, take care of yourself, brother. Hope you find a sister. Oh, trust me, bro. I've got plenty. um, I'm dating 3 people right now, um, and that's another thing, man. You know, when I was sick was when it really showed how much people cared. I talked about this Sunday. There are people who get sick like I did, and they will mess around and die in their spot, and nobody will even know. Your job will be the first place to go look for you. Me, I was not in contact with people for 12 hours, and folks start looking. Look, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and hide you up here. Don't come on my channel talking like that, man. This channel is not for doom and gloom and worrying. See, this year, time out for all the doom and gloom. If I'm talking about building a triad, building your tribe, networking, building stronger relationships and stuff, and you want to keep talking about family court and other stuff, leave my channel. This is not the place for you. Because every day out in Atlanta, millions of dollars get spent, and there are people out there with more money than you ever will have who don't worry about the stuff you're talking about possibly could happen once upon a time. You don't have that kind of money. You're just talking. You're talking and it's fear-based. And I don't want you here because this is not a fear-based channel. It's not a scarcity mindset channel. This is a channel for guys who want to be in the top 10%, for the guys who want to be winners, for the guys who decide that they want to get out there and compete, For the guys who are smart enough to realize that whatever the rules are out there, I'll win anyway. So what? Talking about protecting assets. You talking about protecting assets, you can't even put $5 in super chat. Come on, man. Are you serious? All right. I am out of here. Yeah. Get unstuck in 2020. This year is the year of happiness, satisfaction. Yep. What are you doing? Are you happy? Are you happy? And this is going to push a lot of guys to think, realize, dang, I'm not connected to anybody. I don't know anybody. Well, it means you got work to do. We all got work to do. Till next time, talk it. I mean, hold on. I got to read the alerts. Let me check that out. Where can you get some cool cufflinks? Oh, geez, Danielle. These are from check David Yurman. David Yurman or John Hardy. They both make cool cufflinks. Codis Maya is too hard to find for most people, but yeah, check those two. All right, man. I'm going to talk to you guys later. Peace out.